Is it okay? Okay, we shall continue.
We shall.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Allen. You
I'm done, thank you.
Mrs. Washington.
My question was similar, and I said, do you have sufficient funding in our 15 budget to meet your legal, instructional, and compliance requirements? You stated that your infants and toddlers, you have one teacher for 25 families. That is really stretching it, because they have to make those home visits and train the families, because students behave differently in school than they do in the home. And then you have the occupational therapist, one for 35 to 45 students. So back to my first question, and I'll tack on a second one. Do you remember the first question? Do you have sufficient funding in our 15 budget to meet your legal, instructional, and compliance requirements? And where do you see yourself, because you're almost to the limit of what you are able to do with the people you have? I know you say you use contracted services, but is it enough money in that category, anticipating what you don't know who will come in? And where do you see your staffing plan in 16?
Well, what we've done this year, actually this budget cycle has really accelerated what had been a 3-year plan for us. So we've collapsed 2 years and done some moving into 1 year. And those can be good. That can be good for the teams. It's important to look at capacity. And so are there things, for instance, that, we look at what are the redundancies in instruction? So we can look at communication skills. And certainly the leader on that may be, with little people, a speech-language pathologist. But as a member of that team, what are some of the things that she helps the team develop, but a teacher can implement? And that's been our focus with the past 3 years on our staff development, is looking at where do we have redundancies in programming, where do we have silos that can be broken down, and where do we have really things that are just sort of scheduling conflicts. And so it's forced us to take a really hard look at how we're doing business, where we're doing business, and as a team, how do we collaborate and work together? Our family trainings used to be solely, it belonged to the teacher. But you know what? Our behavior specialists can do this. Our BCBA folks can do this. Our ABA providers can do this. So it's looking at where can we come together, where do we collaborate and provide those supports for our families. I'm fortunate as a director where I have other funding sources outside of just the local budget. Kelly and I have been working really hard this year to braid some of that Title I funding with special ed funding, because we're talking about the same population of kids. So that's another example of where I don't need a Title I teacher to only work with these 4 kids, and then I've got a special ed teacher over here doing pretty much the same thing with these 4 kids, where we can come together and kind of maximize the skill sets that we have. The fact that we have so many talented and exceptional teachers in St. Mary's allows us that flexibility and to be nimble in our responses.
Good.
Good
Great answer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Washington. Mr. Matthews.
No questions. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I
Mrs. Crosby.
thought you were going to give me some more time to think. Okay. I just thought, I have been out of the classroom now for 9 years. My goodness sakes, I guess I'm a little too old to go back in. I am very comfortable with Mrs. Pierce, Mrs. Kilcoyne, and you, and I don't know everybody. That's why I said been out of the classroom so long. I know that when I had 18 on my case. And every year I look at the staffing plans again, and I think it's 15. That was a little challenging. I was like, they were in like 4 or 5 classes. We were really big into inclusion at Piney Point, which I think is the best way to go. When I left, I had 8, and well, some people could argue that's not enough.
Depends on which 8 it is.
Pardon me?
Depends on which 8 it is.
And they were wonderful. It was, I guess if you're going to go out on a high note like that, it's absolutely terrific. And anyway, I think that after hearing your idea, or not an idea, it's apparently a model of if the speech teacher does it, why should, you don't want to, and the regular teacher does it, and the special ed teacher does it. You got to take the best advantage of all of them working together. Well, we did that too, and you did it. I used to work with a speech teacher, and she taught me Linda Mood, although they did have someone come, and I think it was $1,000. It was kind of expensive, but $1,000 for a week of instruction on that. And when the 2 of us taught a young man, and then I could never spell it all after that for some reason. But anyway, we did that, and I think that's a terrific thing to do, combine all your resources. So I want to say I'm very comfortable knowing that you ladies, and probably there's got to be a man involved, right?
We
here.
have several men. We've got one sitting in the audience here, Mr. Rocco Aiello
yes, he
is our
helped me in the
coordinator of our
bleachers one
adaptive
time.
PE program.
Yes, all of your Army is excellent. Makes me feel good when I sleep at night for special ed. And the rest of the school system because of the wonderful Board of Education we have and student board member. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Croy. Peter?
No questions or comments, but thank you for all that you do.
Thanks, Peter.
Mrs. Charbonnet? Great report.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do and your staff.
May I say something real quickly?
Absolutely.
I know we're kind of moving along, but we've been here for
Yeah.
a while. We didn't intentionally plan for this to be at the same time with all the other discussion. We had this plan way back. But I think a little bit of divine intervention occurred today where this occurred at the same time on your agenda. All of you asked questions, and I'm very proud of you and just your level of connections that all tapped into our budget process. And so having you here today is always a great thing, but having you here today was really needed to allay some of the concerns that we've outlined in the budget. I can only say so much at the level of depth on those kind of topics. Having the authority here to do that really helped give the board assurance, but also our community, the assurance as well as we're making these adjustments for our budget. I would like to ask you to do one thing, and that is you have a number of your staff members here.
I do.
I know they're going to enjoy this next piece. I'm going to ask you to ask them to walk the red carpet and introduce them as they come and tell them their specific roles, because we've been doing that occasionally.
I saw that look.
I know.
I'll meet some
And
of
start
the-
with Rocco, since he's
See,
back
I
there
don't-
rolling his eyes.
It wasn't Rocco that was rolling his
Well,
eyes.
whoever it was can go first. Introduce them that way, if you would, so they know who they are.
Rocco, you start with an A, so come on up here. Rocco Aiello. Rocco is our coordinator for the adapted physical education program. As you all know, this was a mandate by Maryland. It was a really good mandate, and he put together the program and coordinates it. He's also the leader, brainchild, guru for Camp Inspire, which
Right.
is our partnership with Rexham Park. And so he manages that as well. I have Miss Carrie Smith, who is our lead teacher. Carrie, as you know, has worked in the schools. She was at Leonardtown Elementary as an AP. And she has been a godsend for us. She works very closely with Honora Batelka. Come on up, Honora.
They love these moments, by the way. So
I can tell. I can tell.
I take a lot of bullets all the time. I'm going to get some more tonight. I know that.
I can't say enough about about Honora, who really put together the system so that we have a very efficient monitoring of ongoing for compliance indicators. She kind of has oversight of that, the online IEP. She's our guru on the park assessment. She has all of those pieces in addition to being support to individual schools. She goes to IEP meetings. Carrie was the person, we had new IEP chairs. Carrie is going out and training those new IEPs. So in addition to our children and their families, these are all the other pieces that help make the system work efficiently. Deb Pierce is sitting back here in the back. Deb also is a supervisor. She has Autism Waiver, which is another very complex program. She manages that. She manages medical assistance. She's the supervisor for sales. She's the supervisor for Compass. She is our guru for all of the spectrum disorders, and Deb is the one that put together the team that we have now that has our lead teacher and our 2 BCBA providers, which has made a really big difference in not only what's happening at school, but what's happening at home. I also have Crystal Johnston. I talked about Crystal before. She's a national board certified teacher. She does assistive technology. She has a wealth of information, and she has such a gentle, sweet way of working with our teachers and our families. She is just phenomenal. And then we also have a new to our team this year, Gosha, you come up. Come on, Gosha. She has been helping with our infants and toddlers program. She's been working with Cindy Kilcoyne and Debbie Crosby. She's a financial guru and is helping with the CLIG grant. This was the new grant that we took this year. I wish all the rest of them that were here earlier were here as well. I say it every year. I thank you for the compliments to me, but this isn't about me. This is about a team. And I have a phenomenal team, so.
It's perfect time. Give me a round of applause. Get in there tight. Yeah, come a little closer to me. Come on up here closer. You're all into that. Like, come on.
You're in the shadows, so you need to, and you're such important people to the making sure that
Melissa, I can't see you.
our kids have what they need.
1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to do
Yes.
this. Thank you for all your hard work. I
Yeah.
appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you very much.
So-
Thank
You
you.
just opened the drawer.
She was my supervisor.
Okay, moving along, we have the 2014 April financial report. Mrs. McCourt?
I think I'll give them up. I found it. I don't know the way to understand it.
Has she ever left the podium?
I do feel like I spend quite a bit of time up here today.
You look comfortable there.
This one doesn't say that.
Oh, good. It doesn't say everything's fine, does it? Oh, God. Have I been fidgeting?
Starting with the revenue side, as you can see, probably about a third of the way down on the page, we had $83 million appropriated from the county government with a $13.9 million balance. That full amount, Ms. Ellen and Ms. Washington, as you mentioned earlier, has now been received. Going down a little bit further, the second line from the bottom, as far as the actual descriptions, the impact aid was budgeted at $1.6 million. We've already recognized $1.7 million, and we anticipate recognizing another $175,000. Kind of carrying back to your earlier conversation, requesting a budget adjustment in that particular account of $300,000 in excess of the original budget that was adopted. So for year to date, we've recognized revenues of $158.8 million. Are there any questions on the revenue side?
There's a state allotment for foundation, still of $10.4 million. It's the third line down under for the state revenue column. When is this normal timing for this, and when
It
do you
is
expect that?
normal
And-
timing. We actually have an offsetting schedule between the county government and the state.
Mhm.
Typically, the county will provide us a contribution in one month, and the state provides it in the next month, so they have a biweekly month schedule. We anticipate receiving this at the end of this month.
Okay, thank you.
Going over to the expenditure side, I don't think there are any surprises on here because we've spoken at length about the FY14 budget at this time. Going through a few of the details on the contracted services under administration, that's predominantly in the area of legal services. Salaries and wages line is a combination of the transition of myself into this position, and we have our annual leave payouts are recognized as an overage in that line. Contractor services overage of $81,000 currently under special education is predominantly as a result of the contracted therapists for IEP and 504 plans. Salaries and wages under health is over currently by $47,000, and that's as a result of the transition from LPNs to RNs. The overages that you see under operation and plan are a combination of two things that we addressed earlier, under contracted services and other charges as a result of the utilities overages and snow removal. And of course, our infamous health insurance overage for both the group health and the retiree health. Those represent the overages as of today, the current costs exceeding budget as of today. What's not included in here are any encumbrances and projected costs that we discussed earlier. There's also an anticipated overage in the area of tuition reimbursement, and that has been taken into consideration in your next year's adopted budget or proposed budget. Are there any questions regarding the expenditures?
Board members, are there any questions of Mrs. McCourt? Anybody?
No, I guess the observation, since we've really talked so much about this, that everything is in alignment with what you've expected with the budget presentations you did today. It's all tracking to that level. You've tightened all that piece up as well.
That is correct.
So none of these things are, although disheartening to see those solid dots, we've talked that for the last several months. We knew that was coming, and it's
Right.
reflective of where it is.
Yes.
Again, I guess just to make myself feel better, had I known some of those things a little sooner, that would have been a different story, you know, in terms of this, you know, and all of that. So I just have to say that one more final time as we move through this process. But Tammy, personally, I want to thank you for your diligence of your presentations today, for the 14 plan as well as the 15 plan, and the work that the board did to adopt all of these, and then your constant watching where we are with the year-end clear-out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much.
And you need a hammer and chisel to go around to each one of our brains and say, hey, look. That includes me.
The next regular board meeting will be on Tuesday, May the 27th, 2014. I repeat that, it'll be on Tuesday. Remember that it had to be changed because of graduations
Correct.
that week,
Correct.
which everyone is looking forward to. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned.